Beyond the Self. Introduction. The morning of the Buddha enlightenment at the foot of the Bodhi tree, he was so surprised. He had been meditating for the whole night. In the early morning, at the moment when he saw the morning star, he said, "How strange! Everyone has the capacity to be awake, to understand and to love, yet they continue to drift and sink on the ocean of suffering, life after life." Before he became the Buddha, the awakened one, Prince Siddhartha, had a strong will to succeed. He tried to use his mind to suppress his mind and body, putting himself through a period of practicing self-mortification and extreme austerity in which he almost died. Eventually, he accepted that forcing his body and mind in the practice wouldn't help him, so he adopted the middle way, a path between austerity and indulgence. So after Siddhartha woke up and became the Buddha, he wanted to share what he had learned. His first Dharma talk was offered to the 5 co-practitioners who had practiced asceticism with him. He said, "My brothers, there are 2 extremes that a person on the path should avoid. One is indulgence, and the other is practicing austerity. Both of these extremes lead to failure. The path I have discovered is the middle way, which avoids both extremes and has the capacity to lead one to understanding, liberation, and peace. It is the Noble Eightfold Path of right view, right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. I followed this Noble Eightfold Path and have realized understanding, liberation, and peace. Why do I call this path the right path? I call it the right path because it does not avoid or deny suffering, but allows for a direct confrontation with suffering as the means to overcome it. The Noble Eightfold Path is the path of living in awareness. From his first Dhamma talk, the Buddha spoke about the middle way, the Four Noble Truths, and the Noble Eightfold Path. He continued to teach on this subject throughout his life. When the Buddha appeared in the world, he was a great revolutionary. He taught that everything is impermanent and subject to change, and that what we call self or self-nature doesn't exist. When the Buddha was still alive, his teachings were clear. After the Buddha's death, the Buddha's disciples had to develop their own teachings to respond to the continued opposition from Hinduism. Sometimes they brought up new theories that were far from the original teachings of the Buddha. There was much back and forth as Hindu scholars and scholars from the various schools of Buddhism contradicted and challenged each other. In the second century, the Buddhist scholar Nagarjuna wrote the Madhyamaka Shastra, a commentary of the Buddha's teaching on the middle way, in an effort to return to and clarify the Buddha's original meaning. The sutra on the middle way contains the key Buddhist concepts of right view, keeping an open mind and avoiding extreme perspectives and dualities, and dependent co-arising. The interdependent, mutually created nature of all things. The Sutra uses the term right view to mean a view that transcends dualistic thinking and is not caught in worldly views. Worldly views based on the surface appearance of things, are fetters. In the Diamond Sutra, the Buddha talks about four notions that affect all our views and perceptions. These four notions need to be thrown away. The first notion we need to throw away is the notion of self. There is the idea that I am this body is me, or this body is mine, and it belongs to me. We say these things based on the notion that I am. But a better statement would be I inter am. It's closer to the truth in the light of interconnectedness. We see there is no separate self that can exist by self. You cannot exist without your parents, food, water, air, earth, and everything else in the cosmos. By looking deeply into the nature of reality, we can throw away the notion I am. The second notion that Diamond Straw advises us to throw away is the notion of a person or human being. When we look into the human being, we see animal ancestors, we see plant and mineral ancestors. A human is made of non-human elements. If we take away the non-human elements, the human being would no longer be there. The third wrong notion is that of living beings. We distinguish living beings from non-living beings. We distinguish humans and animals from plants and minerals. By looking deeply into living beings, we see elements that we call non-living beings, plants and minerals. The fourth notion to be thrown away is the notion of lifespan. We believe that we are born at one point, that we shall die at another point, and that in between is our lifespan. Most of us believe we'll spend 70, 90 years on this planet and then we'll be gone. But when we look deeply, we see this is a wrong perception. These four notions are at the foundation of our fear, discrimination, and suffering. When we are able to see them as wrong views, ignorance and suffering will no longer touch us, will no longer suffer because of our wrong views. When we are caught in ideas of self, human being, living being, or lifespan, it's because we haven't been able to see dependent co-arising. When we are caught in the idea of a lifespan, we think, my life will only last a certain amount of time. And we start asking questions like, did I exist in the past? What was I in the past? When I die, will I still be there? And if I am, what will I be? These questions only arise when we are caught in the ideas of self, human being, living being, and lifespan. The Sanskrit phrase pratitya Samutpada means independence, things rise up. Pratitya Samutpada is sometimes called the teaching of cause and effect, but that can be misleading because we usually think of cause and effect as separate entities, with cause always preceding effect and one cause leading to one effect. According to the teaching of dependent co-arising, cause and effect arise together. Samutpada, and everything is a result of multiple cause and conditions. For a table to exist, we need wood, a carpenter, time, skillfulness, and many other causes. And each of these causes needs other causes in order to be. The wood needs the forest, the sunshine, the rain, and so on. The carpenter needs his parents, breakfast, air, and so on. And each of these things has to be brought about by other conditions. If we continue to look in this way, we'll see that nothing has been left out. Everything in the cosmos has come together to bring us this table. Looking deeply at the sunshine, the leaves of the trees, and the clouds, we can see the table. The one can be seen in the all, and the all can be seen in the one. One cause is never enough to bring about an effect. A cause must be an effect, and every effect must also be the cause of something else. Cause and effect, they give rise to each other. The idea of a first or a single cause, something that does not itself need a cause, cannot be applied. Our difficulties arise when we forget these teachings and become attached to ideas and to things, believing that they are independent and permanent. When we embrace the interdependent nature of all things, forsaking our extremes, we will be on the path of a more peaceful and joy-filling existence.